Welcome to the Investor Fuel Real Estate Investing Show, where I interview the nation's top real estate entrepreneurs, industry leaders, and other amazing entrepreneurs to help educate and inspire you to take your business and your life to the next level. My goal is to add tremendous value to you during every single episode of this show. If you get value, I'd love it if you subscribe on your favorite podcast player, subscribe on YouTube, and my very favorite, please share this with your community so we can impact even more entrepreneurs. Let's start today's show. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Today, I'm here with Rick Howell, and we're going to be talking about building a lifestyle business. You're not just a real estate investor. You're not trying to be the biggest real estate investor in the world. You're doing it as a vehicle to build a business that kind of helps you live the life that you want to live. So, Rick, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate you having me, man. I look forward to this.
Yeah, me too. So I'm excited to talk about this today because a lot of people, some people do it this way. They want to build a business that kind of, I've said this, I just said this to you a few minutes ago, is like, a lot of people don't want this business. They want what the business can do for them, right? Like, this isn't the thing. It's the thing that gets you the thing.
Yeah.
Right? And so, and then there's some people that just want to be as big as they can possibly be. And then all sorts of challenges happen sometimes, which you have to have a bigger team, and, you lose control a little bit, and you might accept like small margins because you're hung up on how many units you're doing.
Yeah.
Right. And all kind of ego gets in the way. And so that's not what we're talking about today. And that's not really the right way to run your business either. But before we kind of jump into these things, you and I spent some time together, and I know a little bit about your background, and I'm excited to kind of dig more in today. But tell us who you are, how you got to this point, and what your path here looks like.
Well, my name is Rick Howell. I'm from a small little town in Northwest Ohio called Toledo. It's known as the number one most affordable city in the country, actually. So every wholesaler listening to this, you're probably doing some marketing here. We're buyers, by the way. So my story is pretty simple. I was a contractor, and I was just trading my time for money, going to work every day, grinding as an electrician. And back in 2010, if you had gotten laid off at that time, I'm sure people anywhere near my age remember that time, you were going to be off for at least a year, sometimes two, in the trades. That's how it was. And I just knew I had a great career as a union electrician, made really good money, but I just knew that wasn't the path. I knew I wanted more. I didn't really know what I wanted. I just knew I wanted more than what I was currently getting. Went to school for 10 years to be able to do that, and everything was going great, but you were always going to work every day. The job would be winding down, and here would come the rumors, layoffs are coming. So-and-so got laid off. So-and-so got laid off. And that gut and your feeling, expecting to get your check on that last day, knowing that you could be off for 2 years, just didn't sit well with me. So fast forward that, I didn't know what it was going to transpire into, but there was a guy on the job that was rehabbing houses just on the side, doing a couple deals a year, just doing it in his spare time. And I really wanted to learn what he was doing and how he got to do that. And he didn't know how to teach me. But what he did do was he gave me the book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He's like, man, I don't really remember how I got started, but I got started because somebody gave me this book, so I'm giving it to you. So he gave me that book. And that started the personal development journey. Had a little bit of success, and I invested in a coaching program in 2015. We were doing it all on our own, trying to figure out just YouTube videos and what the book said from 2010 to 2015. And unfortunately, I had a circumstance where I had a contractor steal some money from me, and I was in a really bad spot. And everything happens for a reason, in my opinion. I ran into somebody else out and about, and he asked me if I ever thought about hiring a coach. Well, at that time, I didn't know what a coach was. I said, what's a coach? And he said, well, there's this company we hired as our coach. That's how we got to where we are now. So right away, I went and hired a coach, and that had a little bit of success. Yeah. What I learned was coaching, no matter who it is, what it is, whether it's a YouTube video or a coaching program, coaching has nothing to do with the information you're being given. All the information stays the same. Real estate's real estate. It's more about the implementation and if you're taking it from someone that you resonate with. So we had a little bit of success because we just took action on everything that was instructed for us to do, and ended up getting recruited by that real estate education company to travel the country for 4 years and coach and teach their students right up until when COVID happened, and then all that kind of went away.
What do you, I know we're going to get into coaching and teaching other people and kind of your passion for that a little bit later, but so let's talk about just using real estate as a lifestyle business to kind of build a business that does what helps feed your family, helps pay for the things that you want in your life, gives you the freedom that you want. Let's talk, share a little bit more about your philosophy on that.
So the best way I could explain that is there's a book written by Michael Gerber called The E-Myth. And what the E-Myth states is the true definition of an entrepreneur is someone who has built a business leveraging systems and processes to where they could remove themselves from their business for a minimum of a year, and their business will still continue to grow and operate and function without them physically with their hands on it. That's the way that I was taught to do real estate. So everything was a system for marketing, a system for hiring, a system all the way for how our rehabs run. So at the beginning, I didn't really understand what any of this meant, but the best way to explain it would be this. If there's a Jeep or a car going down an assembly line in a factory, it's built the same way. The color might change, the accessories might change, but the process and system still stays the same all the way down the assembly line. And that's how we've built our rehab businesses. And what that's allowed us to do is we've, I would say, scale. We're a very small family-owned business. We try to get up to anywhere from 6 to 10 rehabs going at a time with minimal staff. Our employees include myself, my son, which is on the acquisitions, and he's also our agent. He sells our rehabs, and my sister, which handles all the property management and our books. We have one virtual assistant that handles all of our social media content, and a little bit of admin staff things. But all in all, we're a 4-person company with an amazing team of subcontractors that are not technically employees, but they're still part of our team. So we've leveraged systems to do this, because what we've learned is no matter if you have to change the person in the seat, the system doesn't change, right? And what that's allowed for us to do is create a ton of time freedom for everybody involved. That was always the goal, was to design our lifestyle around our business.
It's real easy to, and I've got, people in my mastermind and friends that are, that do hundreds of deals a year, right? I mean, so there's a lot of folks, but there's this, this gap between kind of the lifestyle business and like the go big business, where you have to staff up your team, you have to add complexity, and naturally, you're not trying to add complexity, it just happens, right? And you got to go out to more and more marketing channels, and then you got this big monster to feed. And, so the challenge is, if you have a bad month, it could be really bad.
Yeah.
And you end up in the name of growth. Like, sometimes people are basically trying to, they start doing riskier things, like taking on deals. It's like, I don't know, but yeah, let's go ahead and do it because we need to do it. Right. And so you kind of get caught up in the units thing and maybe lower margin stuff. And so not everybody, but those tendencies, as you're trying to do a lot more deals, like those things tend to happen, is like you start doing deals that you maybe would have passed on if you were trying to be more of what you're doing, more kind of lean and mean,
Right.
a small business operation. You just kind of cherry pick the best deals, right? So, yeah, it keeps your life a little more simple, right?
It does, and we learn from mistakes. I was that guy in 2018, I think, that wanted to scale and go big and start doing rehabs all over the country. Right, that was the thing.
Yeah.
I was traveling the country, so I was meeting these people all over the place. And where my market is, again, the numbers are the median price point where I live is right at about 200,000, maybe a little less for an ARV, right?
Yeah.
Well, our sweet spot, every one of our jobs that we do, we have a max budget. We don't do anything over a 275 ARV. And the reason that is, for anybody listening, is we do our deals where all the buyers are. So we stay in the first time home buyer price point. There's a system for you. We don't deviate from that. And the reason we don't is because I thought it was a good idea at one time to do a deal in Indianapolis. I thought it was a great idea to do a deal in Indianapolis with another guy. And the numbers were awesome. This big $700,000 house. We were going to make all this money, but the same amount of work as we do here, it was just bigger. Well, we lost $250,000, man. And in 3 years of my life. So when you go through something like that, and you lose money and get punched in the mouth like that, it teaches you lessons.
Yep.
And what that did for us was make us better real estate investors, and just taught me to stay in my own little box.
Yeah. Everybody has stories like that. They touch the hot stove and they're like, okay, don't do that again. Right. And
no.
So you just have to touch it. Sometimes people have to touch it twice, but
yeah. Chase the bigger dollars. Usually you get taught a lesson. That's what I learned.
Yeah. So let's talk a little about just the kind of the benefit of time freedom. I mean, it gives you the freedom to do what you want to. It's cool that you have a family business. People hear me talk about this all the time. I mean, we only have one child. He's 17.
Nice.
Graduated from high school on the young side. Like we would love for him to be involved in the business and kind of the family business, but he's at a point where he needs to go out and touch some hot stoves before
Yeah.
that might work, right? But just talk about, like, I guess what that does for your family is just to have kind of a family business, and the business the way you have it set up is like how it, kind of feeds the lifestyle that you want to live.
So the very first time at a real estate event, I was sitting there with my son, my sister, and then one of my best buddies, and the speaker was talking lifestyle design, right? That's where I even heard the term. And my son at that time was, I believe, a sophomore in college, maybe a freshman, 2016, probably maybe a sophomore, somewhere in there. And it was a great idea. I was like, man, I want to build something that my family can be proud of. If something ever happens to me, that they're taken care of. We lost my dad in 2011, and he had a business, and it didn't go so well. So it all started with, I just wanted to build assets for my family if something ever happened to me. And how Keith ended up working with me full time was, he was in logistics. Keith's my son. He was in logistics when COVID happened. And anybody who knows when that all happened, well, the logistics industry just tanked. I mean, they went from making great money to making nothing, right? The trucking industry just bombed. Yeah. So it started off with, let's create an opportunity for him. He went out and got his real estate license, right? That was the first thing. And then I've been teaching him acquisitions ever since. And now he's starting to learn more of the project management / rehabbing role. So it's just been layers upon layers of teaching him the real estate industry over time. And it's been a great resource because now he's got so much experience on the sales side of it. We keep all of our sales in-house, right? He sells them all, so makes a commission on that. So he's doing really well. It's a nice little family-owned thing. But at the end of the day, I've always told him, take these experiences you're learning with me, take these experiences you're learning traveling and meeting all these people all over the place, and build your own legacy through this if you choose. If not, he's going to learn a boatload of skills, right?
Yeah.
The other person is my sister. God bless her. If it wasn't for her, we wouldn't be here. So I'm a old school construction guy. I'm good with my hands, but I suck at everything else. The organization, books, QuickBooks, all that stuff that has to do with numbers and computers and stuff on the back end is not my jam. She's taken care of all that since day one. So it's worked out well. I'm known for going out and making all the messes, right? The visionary dude that goes out and screws everything up. And then together they keep us in line and keep us moving forward.
Yeah, that's kind of the description of my wife and I too for the past 17 years we've been in real estate. So yeah. So talk about a systematic approach to running your business. Like, share some of the things that you guys do that might be unique or kind of unique to you, at least, of like defining those processes and maybe even refining them because things change over time. Like, is everybody that this based on the role that they're responsible for responsible for defining those and keeping those updated? And the reason I ask is it's, in my experience, has been easy to create a process for it. And then we start to do it differently, but we don't go back and redocument it. And next thing you know, we might as well not even have a SOP or a process because we're off the reservation,
One thing we've learned on like the actual project side of things, very important, is we have a project review on every single deal we do. We usually do 2 at a time. That's usually our goal. Like, well, Friday we'll have a deal review where project manager will come in, my son will be here, and Shelly will sit here, and we'll just literally go over the rehab. What went good, what went bad, where can we grow, and move on, right? The whole EOS thing. And we just literally, it takes about 20 minutes per house. We go over the whole project, what went good, what went bad. Were there any issues with deliveries, contractors, anything that can be improved on? And then we document it. We use a very simple platform that I feel like everybody doing real estate deals should know about, and it's called Basecamp. Basecamp is just a project management software. It's a very simple, user-friendly. I'm not the sharpest guy in the world when it comes to tech. And we literally just have checklists for every little thing that happens. Like, for example, we buy a house. We have an area that's it's called admin project list, and then we have a construction checklist. So from the second the house is signed on at the closing table, there's a next step. There's a process, a box that has to get checked. And when that box gets checked, it notifies the next person. And it works like that the whole way down the finish line, all the way to the sale on the back end. So Basecamp to us has been a godsend. And that was shared with me by a good friend of mine out in Sacramento that builds these big multi-million-dollar houses and still operates with a 3-man employee staff and does probably 25 deals a year. Wow. That's been our savior, is just communication through a platform that everybody can see. That's a lifesaver if you're rehabbing houses.
Yeah, that's great. Interesting little side note. I have not heard anybody mention Basecamp in a long time, but there's a lot of different software that's popped up over the years, but we used that a long time ago, and that was like the industry standard for
Yeah.
project management, especially in not necessarily in real estate, but in lots of, I mean, really any industry. So
Everything. Yeah.
I worked for a tech startup before I got into real estate, and that's what they use to kind of manage all the projects and everything like that. And interesting little story is I have a lot of the CRM providers in the country are members of my mastermind or friends of mine, right? And
Okay.
a lot about how when I started in 2008, there were no CRMs for real estate investors,
I bet.
and the company that was Basecamp also had a few other products that, when you talk about simplification, they just made a decision at some point to like cut off all these other products. So like we're winding them down, and but they had like, I don't know, tens of thousands or maybe hundreds of thousands of users, and they're just like, we're turning it off. We're just going to go all in on Basecamp. And
Yeah.
but anyway, the first CRM that we ever used was called Highrise, and it was by the same company, and they decided to just kind of go all in on that one product. But it wasn't a real estate CRM at all. It was just like a generic contact manager.
Just a
That
thing.
was our
Yeah.
very first CRM was Highrise. So yeah,
It was
anyway.
so user friendly, and I come from running big electrical jobs where you're running anywhere from 5 guys to 50 electricians, and back then we didn't have all this tech stuff, right? You had like a
Right.
notebook, you had a notebook and a calendar,
Right.
you know. And so when I found that, and Josh shared that with me, I'm like, wow, you mean that I can check this box and it'll notify so and so that this has to happen? I'm like, I'm in. Let's do that. It just eliminated tons of phone calls,
Yeah, for sure.
and I'm not big on. I mean, I'm big on growth, but I'm not big on change if it works. So we've been using that for just years.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a natural thing. I mean, some people like coaching and some people don't like coaching, and you have done both and you still do both. And I think it's a natural fit. I mean, I do coaching. I've done coaching for a long time. It's a natural fit to kind of want to teach other people what you're doing. Because a lot of us as entrepreneurs, we're kind of on an island. Like we want to give back, and
Hmm.
it's like, well, what's the right way to do it? And I think a lot of us just want to share kind of our skill, like what we've done. Like I could share that with other people, and there's demand for that. Like people want to know that, right? And I
Right.
think one of the cool things that you do, which I've done a lot of as well, is like right in my market, I find ways to teach people and then end up partnering with them, which creates, I'm not just sharing information. Now we're like business partners or we're deal partners, right? And we're doing things together. So share a little bit about like your philosophy on coaching and a little bit about your model there and kind of how you work with other people.
Well, I'll tell you what. When I was traveling around with fortune builders for years, there was nothing like the end of an event that someone coming up to you and saying, "Hey, man, thank you because for you now I believe in myself." Right? Like I said, the content, how to do a real estate deal. There's so many people teaching exit strategies and creative finance and all this stuff. None of that matters. Real estate is the industry, and it doesn't change no matter who you're learning it from. The methodology, how you find a deal, fund a deal, whether you flip a deal, the exit strategy. It's just real estate. And a lot of times people get so consumed in the weeds and they get so overwhelmed, they just don't do anything, right? So when you can share something with somebody and they come up to you at the end of the day or at the end of the meetup or whatever you're doing, and they say, "Hey, man, thank you for simplifying all that. I see that you're no different than I am. I can do this too." That was just so powerful. And that happened week after week after week after week. So then when I was educated on like doing it in your local market, I'm like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. At first, it was just about connecting people and being known as the cash buyer in the market, right? With all the people doing deals, everybody needs a cash buyer. I wanted to be known as the cash buyer. Then it turned into so much more than that. It turned into this little community of people that we have here in town, that we're teaching how to find deals, how to fund deals, connecting them with our vendor list. We have a vendor list that we've been building out for 14 years, right? And we share that with people, and that helps our contractors now. So it's just became like a little ecosystem of people making money through our industry locally. That's how it all started. But it started just to drive deals locally, but then it turned into you're really it goes from more of making an income off of it to now we're really making an impact in our local real estate market.
Yeah, I think that it's a big deal. Like I feel like there's a lot of coaching stuff out there. People can go online and learn stuff too, right? I always kind of
Right.
say like all the information you need is online, but it's just not put together in a roadmap. Like it's not a blueprint
Right.
on how to do it. It's like if you think of like a puzzle, it's like there's the pieces of the puzzle are all out there, but when you put together a puzzle, you need to like look at the box, like the picture, and you need to keep like, that's your blueprint. Like that's what you need to create. And
Right.
that's missing unless you hire a coach. It's like the pieces
Right.
out there, you just don't know how to put them together, and you don't have anybody to call when you don't know what to do. Right. And
Right.
that's the main difference. And so I think it's even better when you do it in your market and you're like able to provide, vendors and have them even come meet you at a house, like all that high touch stuff. I mean, it really makes a difference, right?
Yeah, 100%. And it's so much more. And the reason I say it is because I didn't even know what a coach was till after trying to figure out rehabbing from 2010 till the beginning of 2016. It was just construction guy. The book taught us how did we fund it first? The first one we funded off of home equity lines of credit, me and my partner. And because that's what the Rich Dad book said to do. So we did that. And then we just bought it like construction workers. We didn't know anything about analyzing a deal. And we bought it and we thought, we think we can do it for this. We were the guys at Home Depot with the big cart, picking out our own backsplashes. And I mean, it was a shit show, right? But that's reality.
How everybody starts.
That's reality of it until somebody says, hey man, you know that there's a way to make this easier. And I'm like, well, how do we do that? Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So where do you talk a little bit more about like how you partner with students? Because I think that's one of the interesting things is it's not just coaching. I mean, again, even if you hire a coach, sometimes it's all the information, but just talk about like how you collaborate with them because they're in your market.
So the way it starts is we do local meetups, and we've just increased it to every other week now, where I'll take a topic. Tonight's building your team. I'll take a topic out of our coaching program. I'll teach on it for an hour. We'll network for 40 minutes or 30 minutes before and 30 minutes after, and just kind of relationship build. I'll share the content. And what happens is the way it started was all of a sudden wholesalers started coming, and we bought a couple of houses from wholesalers. Well, that year alone, I think it was 2 years ago, I think we did an extra 200 grand just in deals that I bought from wholesalers that would come to our meetups. Right. So I'm like, how do we do more of that? Okay. Yeah. So it started off just being a buyer. Well, now it's kind of I'll do a JV somebody deal based individually, one deal at a time, where if they bring the deal and the numbers make sense, we'll oversee and run the project with all of our connections, all of our vendors, basically like we do our deal, and then split it with them on the back end.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Rick, if folks want to learn more about you, what you've got going on, the opportunity to work with you, any of those things, like where can they go?
Social media. It's just my name, Rick Howell, REI, on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, and also just my name on LinkedIn.
Awesome. We'll add links down below for that. So thanks so much for sharing your story with us today.
I appreciate the opportunity, Mike. Look forward to doing it again.
Yeah, great to see you, buddy. Have a good day. Everybody, hope you got some good information from today. I think one of the lessons here is you got to define, do you want this business to be all about the business and not give you the lifestyle you want? Sometimes you have a high level of success, but you're not living the life you want. You don't have that time freedom that you want. Or you can choose to kind of build a lifestyle business that enables you to do whatever you want in life. It can kind of fund that, allows you to kind of buy back your time and spend the time the way you want it. So I hope you got some good value from today, guys. We'll see you on the next show. Take care.
Thanks for joining us for today's show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing on your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. You can also check out the show's notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and even how to work with me directly one-on-one. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. See you on the next show.